Cool. Our agenda essentially today is to sort of Vivek has joined with an empty background. uh, and now no background and now no audio. But so our agenda today essentially is to give you a small update about what we've been doing, how our GDC has been. Like we all went and then showed the game there, and Kinshuk and Shagufta had gone to the London's Games Fest. So mostly those updates as well. And we've opened up the game for playtests as well. So we'll be kind of going about and talking a bit about that, and then I'll kind of take you all through what we've been doing in the game's feature front, talking about some of the things that and showing you some things from the past. Not, I mean, there isn't much of a past, like whatever little past work that we've done, to kind of give you an idea of where we are coming from, about some of the tools that we have, and some of the features that we've designed around track placement, why we've done some of those, and more interesting new things, and post which Shumar will be talking to all of you about our roadmap ahead, and how we have planned that, and how we are getting more folks onto the playtest as well. Yeah, so that's sort of like the rough agenda here, and yeah, so and I think uh, we'll we'll just take a minute for Kinshuk to come back. So in the meantime, Shivang, what have you been playing lately? Have you been playing anything new?
I've been playing the Blueprints.
The blueprints, yes, the blueprints.
Yes,
I yeah. What about the blueprints? Is there something
it's
that you want to
it's
share?
it's itching that it's like triggering that itch inside me, which I missed in the days of Mist and Riven back in the 90s for some reason. The
Yeah,
first-person platform, sorry, that puzzle sort of a thing. Slightly lower in scope as compared to that, but it has a very interesting mechanic on you choose the next uh, room that you are sort of going to go in and stuff like that, which
you
makes it
you
a little
basically
interesting. There's an RNG
essentially
element to it, yeah.
yeah, essentially you draft uh, one of three rooms, and then and explore them and then find
Yeah.
details, and then yeah, it's a very cool game. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And yeah, so uh, let's I've essentially been playing a bunch of rail focused games as well, but recently, in the last couple of days, there have been a bunch of things that came out also which were really interesting, kind of got my interest in a lot more rail and train management kind of things, interestingly. So yeah, I guess that's like basically research for the things that we are also doing in some ways. Cool. Yeah.
I think,
So
yeah, yeah, I think we should go back to our game.
yeah. Cool. So I know that we're like waiting for Kinshuk to jump in. All right. So
Kinshuk seems to be having some issues, so we can, I think he's on the move right now, so we can probably start, and whenever Kinshuk is ready, he'll jump in.
all right. So I'm going to share my screen and basically take you through the things that I wanted to talk about. And hopefully by the time I'm done and maybe Shubhank is done or in between somewhere, Kinshu can join us and kind of give us the updates that he wanted to give about our trip to GDC, the stuff that we did there, and the kind of feedback we got, which I will also be talking about a bit. And the stuff that we don't know much about is the feedback that we got from LG at the London Games Fest, and also the places that Kinshuk was able to visit, especially some of those model train, uh, like what do you call them?
Yeah, it was a gathering of sorts of different
Yeah, yeah.
people
Uh,
who create model train sets and
yeah,
diorama oriented games.
rail fans who were
Yeah.
building model trains. So cool. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and my entire screen is going to be shared. Cool. Um, I'm going to start by kind of giving you sort of like context about where we sort of started from. We started uh, in when we started like quite a while back. We wanted to get like the track laying and the track drawing and essentially the train movement of the game right. I'm just going to show you some old videos that I had lying around. So some of the old examples is essentially this uses curvy and all, and this is like we're essentially trying to figure out how to build tracks. This is not a track, this is a road. But we were just, in the early days, we were essentially trying to figure out how to get that track drawing and extrusion and all that kind of happening. Very early days. And we sort of quickly moved away from this a bit more and try to, because we knew that we wanted editing tracks on terrain as well. So one of the earlier experiments was also to get the thing working on terrains. This is like a spline based system, and we know that tracks are not necessarily great with splines because of the sort of hard constraints that these things have. And in those early days also we essentially had a track follower system, which essentially followed the trains, like a train that followed the track around. Again, trying to get this to work to a level that we were kind of happy with, and also kind of having like nicely looped tracks. Although this one has like very difficult curves and things. Yeah, so this is sort of where we started, and I'm just gonna uh, close this out and open Unity. And this is the scene that most of you, if you've play tested the game, or if you've seen the videos earlier, this is the demo scene that we've shared with folks, and this is that's just my alarm kind of making a noise. If you heard that, I think this keeps ringing out every time. Even the last time, I think it happened. Uh, yeah, we will wait for this to load.
It took us a
I think
long time to get the track system right. I mean, we had like so many iterations,
yeah
and
we
this is something which will come in the roadmap discussion. But how we kind of played around the
yeah
whole part of making it building it to perfection and trying to improve as and when we go along and so on.
Yeah, so I think so. There were a bunch of things I'd say. Some of the things were um, so the early. I think I'll just go kind of one by one. One of the early things that we had was we had a entirely different camera system, which worked a lot differently. Right now we have a, a slightly different sort of first person flying around camera, which is sort of focused on wherever you are sort of looking. We had a very different flying camera before, which wasn't so um, sort of uh, it didn't sort of connect with people's mental models as such. And doing track laying on those in with that camera system was a bit difficult, so we had to tweak that a lot. And the earlier sort of track laying system was a bit more organic, and that had its sort of pros and cons as well. And I know I personally haven't really let go of that, and I know that we'll probably come back and explore those things because I think there were a lot of interesting things there. I'm not going to delve a lot into the older systems, mostly because I really want to explore them and show them to all of you at some point when we revisit them after kind of putting some thought into it. So currently, what we have is we have a slightly more straightforward approach, which is sort of like how it's essentially just work. Right now, you can pick one of these starting points and then like place them. You can actually pick any of them. This is a very sharp turn, um, I'll come back to this. And you also have this. You can hold down Shift and kind of scroll to rotate it for those playtesters who couldn't, where we hadn't provided the supporting help text or anything. So yeah, so there is that. So once you place the track, it essentially puts that down. You can pick another track and then connect it together. It just snaps into place also. So that's one way of doing it. Otherwise, you also have these extensions on the track that lets you just basically pull things out from there. Um, so, so at some point we had like a lot more organic kind of a system. So right now this is a bit more constraint driven, and I know that different people have sort of different preferences. So we need to kind of find a middle ground as to like what people really want and what we can also do. So yeah, yeah, uh, and so that there are a bunch of things. And once you if you get into the playtest, you will also, I'm just going to disable the props so that you can kind of see this a bit better. um, and these are some debug gizmos that you can see that are being drawn. um, and I'm just going to, yeah, so that it's a lot easier for you to kind of get an idea of what's happening on the terrain as well. So if you, as you can see, if I kind of draw out a track, it does deform the terrain a little bit, depending on where you're drawing. I can like kind of go up there, uh, so maybe here. Let's come back through this thing. So I think it's a bit too sharp. So we can also, so there are a couple of modes which lets you kind of draw things a bit differently. So we are also kind of playing around with the idea of how do you, what kind of tracks do you want, what kind of constraints do you want in them, and let's see if that works. Cool. So that's the track. So you can see that we had a system early on which basically, so we were working on, when we were working on the terrains that you saw earlier, when we were trying to kind of place the tracks on the terrain, we really wanted people to be able to deform the terrain as they place tracks and edited them. Right now there is no functionality as to how to edit them, or the points that you edited. So the points that you see here will be editable, whether you can actually move them in the y-axis or the x and z axis as well. Um, and the terrain will sort of react to what you're doing, and whether it will create bridges where the height difference is, the difference between those 2 points are different, and also it will create tunnels if you try to kind of go through like a hill or something. So that's sort of where we are. Like a bunch of things deform already. We're using some of the tech that we already worked on in terms of how to do the terrain deformation and terrain manipulation. I don't know if we have time to go through that also. Maybe we can come back with in another sort of devlog. Yeah.
Yeah, we can come back to this again. I think we have like a bunch of things related to the trains also to show right now. So
Yeah, so right now the train kind of follows, and I think some of the feedback that we got about the train and sort of the movement on the track was not a lot of love, because of how janky it was when we showcased it, and also when we had kind of shared with people. And I think one of the, I mean, of course, the first thing that you do is put down tracks and then run the train. So it is sort of like one of the obvious flaws that you might see as to how uh, sort of slightly janky the setup can be for the train. So what we've been doing is, I think, because of all the feedback, and also just us being, we wanted to get this bit right, and this experience like better for everybody. So our focus has been in this last couple of weeks, and the sprint was to essentially focus on like the locomotive movement and physics, in terms of how you would experience it. So let me just stop the scene and uh, go to a different scene and sort of show you what we've been doing for the sort of uh, the locomotive movement, and essentially the movement of the wheels, the bogies, and the coaches. As you can see, the train is far away. So this scene, this what you're seeing right now is like a much more refined sort of setup where you have the movement is very much aligned to the tracks. The bogies, the wheels are aligned to the track. The bogies are moving according uh, to the track. There are physics joints that actually connect with the train and turn accordingly. Um, and and yeah, so so that is I'm just yeah. So as you can see, the bogies are
So essentially, Yadu, what you're saying is that this is the chassis and the bogie rests on top of it.
yeah, yeah,
And essentially, the chassis moves and carries the weight of the bogie along with it. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. So the other thing is that as you can see, it's all decoupled and sort of modular. So and essentially what is happening is that the wheels are separate, the bogies are separate, and essentially uh, the body and the chassis is uh, separate as well, and uh, and we have basically put them together in a way. um, just gonna move the train a bit.
I think the arrow keys move it here.
Yeah, I just need to focus it. So let's increase the speed and then show you from a different angle. So some of these corners are a bit tight, uh, but you can see how the bogies are aligned with the tracks and how the sort of motion happens on the body as well. So this is sort of where we are right now, with the movement of the trains on the track, far better than where we were when we in the other demo that we just showed you. Uh, so yeah. So the other
So,
factor, yeah.
Yadu, I am sorry to cut you, but I think we have a question from the chat.
Okay.
And the question is, what if I actually like the default natural terrain? Is there a way to place tracks without messing it up?
You at the moment, no. The So what you can also do is that you are able to do. We have a set of terrain tools that we have built. So I've not shown them right now. It's like we have a version of it kind of running. So the terrain tools will essentially allow you to edit the terrain accordingly, and you can also sort of by default at the moment you can't, but it's essentially a choice that we can definitely enable, that it doesn't really deform the track. The track doesn't really deform the terrain as well, so it's not a difficult thing to implement also, but at the moment it does. But then you're also able to then go ahead and do the sort of how do you call it, the terrain editing and the deformation that you want to do on the terrain as well much later. So that is something that you can do. Cool. Are there any other questions?
Not at the moment.
All right. So one of the other things that we've been doing is also to get our sort of content pipeline in place, in terms of how to get like sort of content mods into the game. Uh, the locomotive that you're seeing right now is it's a it's a customized content mod in the game. Essentially, what that means is that if you're an artist, if and our artists also will be able to quickly replace the content that you see in the game through essentially by just changing a configuration. So that is something that we are kind of building, and it will also most likely be in the next playtest, so that you can actually play around with it, and hopefully change some configuration files which can have like um, effect, which can have an effect in the game actually. So yeah, so that's where we are. We've kind of showed you our terrain, our kind of where we came from with the track system, how our current track building tools work, and where we are with the new system where the bogies are a lot more physically, the bogies wheels and the coaches are also a lot more physically accurate and follow the tracks as well. We also kind of have the functionality to load custom content into the game to an extent. And we're starting with the coaches and some of the content of some of the locomotives as well. So that's where we are right now. Yeah. So, Shubham, do you want to kind of talk about some of the feedback that we got from the playtests and also our roadmap ahead?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little too early to call it like the feedback that we got from the playtest. We got some interesting stuff from people. I think there were like a couple of guys who, I think somebody actually ran it on Steam Deck, both in the desktop version and otherwise, and because our playtest keys are available on Steam, so that's how they're able to redeem it and so on. But it was actually quite fun. We in the desktop mode it had some performance issues, but otherwise it ran fine. We have not optimized for a controller support yet, so you still have to plug in your mouse and keyboard and either connect it via Bluetooth or use a Steam Deck. Uh, uh, you use basically a dock to connect it and so on. But yeah, I mean, it also gives us an idea about what are the different platforms that people are going to be looking at, and something that we will have to consider and eventually at some point in time.
Yeah.
We got some feedback around a few bugs and things like that related to prop placement in particular. I think apart from the track laying part, the world building part is something which is a lot more polished, I would say, as compared to some of the others. I think we put a lot of work in the prop library and everything else. So we got like some feedback about bugs over there and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's still early days. I think it's great that people are spending time playing the game. We saw some numbers on Steam, and I think people played uh, for an hour and all at times. So it was like pretty good actually. Uh, so yeah, that way it was pretty nice. And we are sort of in the process of uh, finalizing a roadmap for the next I think 2.5 years or so. I mean, it will be concrete set in stone for the next few months, but yeah, we know what we want to build eventually, and there is been like some kind of a methodology that we have sort of followed uh, to arrive at this particular thing. And yeah, I mean, and that is what we are going to talk about next.
Yeah, I think since we are also heavily focused on kind of getting the feedback and kind of getting the voice from players to see what they really want in the game.
Yeah.
And yes, we have a long term plan as to what we want to build, but at the same time, we want to keep our ears open and sort of be sort of cognizant about what people want inside the game immediately and maybe later, and things like that. So I think, yeah. So the immediate future, we have a clearer picture, and we'll be listening and then kind of and adjusting our sort of trajectories depending on what kind of feedback we get as to the with the things that we're building. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to add to that, like we've had been tinkering around with the some kind of a road mapping framework since quite some time. I think one of the key things which we have discussed in the past, and it has somehow, I think, either eluded us or we have never made it like a part of our roadmap, was the whole feedback loop. As to we build something, we get feedback for it, and when we iterate based on what the feedback is, essentially either via playtests or even testers, and among us, we prototype something, we build it, we kind of like there are feedback loops at every stage as you go
Yeah.
on in the development, during the playtest, even after the playtest, which you sort of once the game is commercially available and you kind of we release patches to improve it. So that is one part which has been missing in a while. What we also did as a starting point is we wrote a comprehensive vision for the game or some kind of a company ethos that we want to follow with respect to what kind of aspects do people are going to enjoy about the game, what brings them back, and so on and so forth. And we have a question from the audience, which is, will the final version of the game have dynamic weather feature? Yadu, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think it will have some sort of weather systems and systemic. So we're trying to make the thing as sort of systemic as possible in a way that so that like hey how systems interact with other systems to kind of have an effect on each other in some sense. And I think one of the things that everyone was interested in was uh, like a weather system which is works at an aesthetic level as well as maybe something which is like a bit more functional, which we don't know what it could be. But how, you can also think about how the weather might affect like rail conditions or something or the other. So we don't have these things in lockdown as such. A lot of them are like kind of high level ideas, but we will have something at the very least. There will be an aesthetic layer which will be there, which in some form. And as to how functional those systems and those systemic interactions will be, we'll have to kind of figure out
Yeah.
how far in the roadmap those things are going to be as well. So yeah, at least the idea is that we want to get like a bunch of things which are interesting and functional and get it to people's hands. And what we also want people to do is that we'll hopefully open up some of the modding functionality of the game. So you may also be able to contribute in some form to mod interesting functions into the game as well. So that's like a that's also a possibility in
We,
the future.
yes.
I can hear Vivek calling my name somewhere.
Do
But
you want to? So there is actually another question about train collision and stuff, and I think we should probably quickly show the roadmap and tell people
sure.
what we are going to work on. You can share it, or I can share it,
Uh,
like it's better.
do you would want to share the Jira? I can share it, but I just need to be sure I'm sharing the right things, and
I'll,
and
I'll, I'll
not
share. I'll
like a
share. Let
filtered
me.
down thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me share it.
See, like it's essentially like, hey, where are you with your Jira skills? I mean, I have it open actually. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. I'm just
so
gonna stop my sharing, I think, and
yeah.
or it's already done. I think. Yeah. Cool.
Oh yeah. So this is what the roadmap broadly looks like. Essentially, we have a bunch of things here, and we also have stuff planned for the future, which I'm going to nicely hide because it's top secret. So essentially, there are things which I'm working on right now. These are like different, uh, mostly simulation related stuff. We want to perfect the movement of the trains first, eventually getting into the other things. And then we have like a bunch of other stuff which we're going to work on next, which is how the tracks connect with each other and so on and so forth. And of course, like somebody asked, we have questions about derailment and other things. So yes, we're going to have that. We're going to have those. We're going to have collisions. We're going to have explosions and fun things like that. Uh, so that, and there will be some element of collision. There will be some element of uh, trains derailing. If you make a too sharp a turn or something like that, you can either do it on purpose or you can just learn from your experiences and kind of try and make a more efficient running railway that way or so on and so forth. And we have stuff which is coming later. So this is essentially, and our roadmap is obviously going to be available to the public, a much more simpler version of this. Essentially, it will link from the main menu of the game, and then you'll be able to see the see what we are working on now, what is coming on next, and what will come on later, and then the long term thing. Eventually, what will happen in V2, V 0.2, V.3, V.4, and so on and so forth, all the way till the release. Uh, there is a bit of, I would say it's not set in stone at the moment, especially stuff which is more than a year from now. We might just bring a few things a little earlier. We might move a few things a little later. And part of the reason is that everything is like built on a bunch of systems which are connected to each other. The track itself is a system in itself which is connected to the terrain because it sort of changes or modifies the terrain a little bit and so on. And things which are interconnected have often need to kind of work in sync or so on and so forth. So there are various dependencies of to which things can move up and down. But yeah, we have a very clear idea of what we are building. We have a very clear idea about how we want to proceed it and what is the methodology that we are bringing into this, how much simulation we want to have, how much abstraction we want to have, and so on. And based on these principles, we have kind of prepared a list of things that we want to share with everyone. And yeah, this is pretty much it.
Yeah, and for those who are um, on the playtest, but before that, I would like to mention that please do drop by our Discord and also sign up for the playtest. And once you get in the playtest, there is a in the game there is a roadmap button which you can actually kind of click and then see the public roadmap as well.
Yeah, it's actually in the
So
main menu itself, so you can just see
yeah,
it.
yeah, and yeah,
So
do
we
do.
we have some more questions.
Oh,
So we
while we
have
answer these questions, please join our. Uh, please sign up for our playtests at beta.secondquest.games, and also do drop by our Discord as well, which is discord.secondquest.games.
the form is a little bit intimidating. We have heard from some people, but we really, really need those details just to sort of make sure at which stage of our playtest do we start involving you folks.
Yeah.
And that will be very essential for us. Yeah. So the next question is, will we have a speedometer?
Good question. There are. I don't know if you saw something in the roadmap that sort of pointed towards that, but we potentially may have a
I
speedometer
I
at some
I,
point.
I had I had hidden it.
As you had hidden it. Okay, okay.
But yeah,
So
we have a thing about driving trains and stuff. So in the roadmap as an item. So which
yeah.
which
So
kind of could work.
right. So that's also another thing. Like do drop by the Discord. So the idea is that if you have ideas about where do you want to see this game go and what do you want to see in the game also, and this would be the best time to kind of drop by and help us build the game as well in some sense and help us get a sense of what you all want to do with the game. So yeah, so I think uh, that's where we are. Uh, uh, I know that it's a bit late. I know that we had some technical hiccups. Hopefully, this makes for a great story at some point in the future. And in our next devlog, we'll be talking. Kinshuk would most likely be talking about our GDC and LGF experiences and time in UK with the
Think
rail fans.
yeah.
Finally, or
Oh
maybe we'll
yeah,
write a
that'll be
blog
fun.
about it. Yeah,
I think that'll
and
be better. We'll probably write a blog about it. We have a lot
yeah.
of videos and bikes to share as well from GDC. So yeah,
Yeah, we
uh,
do.
those will be coming up on social media soon.
Yeah, and again, do drop by the Discord, share your ideas, and yeah. And is there anything else that we're missing? I don't think so. So I think thank you all for joining us so late in the night. If you have any questions, do drop by the Discord. It is again discord.secondquest.games. And also, if you want to join the beta and help us build this game, it is beta.secondquest.games. And again, thank you, Shubhank. Thank you, Vivek, in the background, and Kinshuk and Shagufta, everybody in the producer's chair right now. And thank you for joining us. And yeah, and have a good night. And hope you get to play the game soon. All right, and we're signing off.